Have you ever looked out the airplane window and wondered what's really going on behind the scenes? From the moment you step into the airport to the second your plane touches down, there's a world of secrets the airlines would rather you never find out. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain. Most passengers think flying is simple. You board, sit, and land safely. But in truth, every part of your flight is carefully managed to keep you calm, compliant, and sometimes unaware. It starts before you even get on the plane. When you're waiting at the gate and they announce a small delay, it's rarely because of what they say. Often, it's because they're waiting to fill just a few more seats, or to synchronize flight schedules to avoid paying fines for undercapacity routes. You're told it's for your safety. It almost never is. Once you finally board, the first thing you notice is the temperature. Ever wonder why airplanes are always a little cold? It's not a coincidence. Cooler cabins reduce the chance of passengers fainting, because when too many people are crammed together, standing, storing luggage, and breathing recycled air, oxygen levels drop slightly. Cold air keeps fainting and nausea at bay. It's less about comfort, more about control. Then there's that flight attendant greeting you with a big smile. Of course, they're polite. But did you know that within 5 seconds of seeing you, they're assessing everything about you? Whether you're fit enough to help in an emergency, whether you might cause trouble, or even whether you could be upgraded later if the need arises. The greeting isn't just about customer service, it's profiling done with charm. Now let's talk about that coffee you love so much. You might want to skip it. The water used for coffee and tea doesn't come from bottled sources. It's drawn from the aircraft's onboard water tank, which is rarely cleaned as often as it should be. Studies have shown those tanks can harbor bacteria and biofilm buildup. The same water is used to wash your hands in the lavatory. So if you really need a caffeine fix, grab it before you board. Speaking of lavatories, here's something most passengers don't know. The bathroom door can be unlocked from the outside. There's usually a hidden latch under the no smoking sign, so if someone locks themselves in or gets sick, the crew can get in quickly. But it also means your privacy isn't as private as you think. The lights dim during takeoff and landing for a reason too. It's not about ambience. It's to help your eyes adjust in case of an emergency evacuation. If something goes wrong, you'll be able to see better outside the aircraft when it's dark. The crew's vision will already be adjusted, giving them precious seconds to react. Every little detail has a reason, even if they never tell you what it is. Now, here's another strange truth. Airplanes often fly with broken parts. That might sound terrifying, but airlines call it minimum equipment list compliance. In short, as long as the broken system isn't essential to flight safety, the plane can still legally fly. A reading light, a lavatory door, even a small navigation screen could be out of order, and you'd never know. Sometimes, even oxygen masks or seatbelt signs in specific rows can be marked deferred. And speaking of oxygen masks, remember those? You've heard the announcement 100 times. If cabin pressure drops, oxygen masks will fall from the ceiling. But what they don't tell you is that the oxygen only lasts about 15 minutes. That's it. Just long enough for the pilots to descend to a breathable altitude. It's not designed to keep you alive indefinitely. It's just to buy them time. Now, pilots themselves have secrets, too. Most people assume pilots and co-pilots eat the same meal, but they don't. In fact, they're required to eat different meals to avoid both getting food poisoning from the same dish. And yes, pilots do sleep during flights. It's called controlled rest. On long hauls, one pilot sleeps while the other stays awake. There are hidden compartments in some aircraft, tiny crew rest areas above or below the cabin where pilots and flight attendants nap out of sight. Have you ever noticed that pilots rarely drink coffee or eat the same food served to passengers? That's because they often have their own catering, separate from the cabin meals. Not because it's fancier, but because it's safer. Their food is handled separately to reduce risk. Now let's go back to what's happening in the cabin while you're seated. That safety demonstration? Half the time it's performed to meet legal obligations, but crew members already know that most passengers aren't paying attention. That's why the announcements are filled with repeated phrases and gestures. They're designed to stick subconsciously, even when you think you're zoning out. There's also a reason tray tables and seat pockets are cleaned last, or not at all. Those areas are where passengers leave used tissues, food wrappers, and sometimes worse. Most airlines do tidy cleaning between flights, not deep cleaning. That means your tray table could have traces of dozens of previous passengers' snacks, spills, and bacteria. Next time, maybe skip eating off it. If you've ever wondered why your luggage sometimes gets delayed or rerouted, it's not always due to mishandling. Sometimes it's deliberate. Airlines prioritize certain bags, premium flyers, connecting passengers, or cargo shipments. If there's a weight issue, your suitcase might be left behind on purpose, placed on the next flight without you even knowing. Here's another trick airlines use: overbooking. They sell more tickets than there are seats, betting that a few people won't show up. When everyone does show up, they bump passengers, and they'll always start with those who checked in last or bought the cheapest fares. What you don't know is you can negotiate. Instead of taking the first voucher they offer, wait until they start increasing the compensation. They're authorized to go much higher than you think. Now let's talk turbulence. It's normal, it's safe, but sometimes pilots don't warn you about the worst patches ahead. Why? Because they don't want half the plane panicking or unbuckling too early. Instead, they keep announcements vague, a few bumps ahead. Meanwhile, they're strapping in tight because they know it's going to get rough. Another secret: those seatbelt signs? Sometimes they stay on even when the ride is smooth, just to keep passengers seated so the crew can serve or clean faster. It's psychological crowd control disguised as safety. And about your checked bags, those fragile stickers? They rarely make a difference. Baggage handlers are under time pressure, and once your bag hits the conveyor belt, it's automated chaos. The best protection is to use a hardshell suitcase and lock it. Oh, and never pack valuables, because baggage theft does happen. Even airport workers have been caught on camera taking items from suitcases. But one of the biggest secrets involves fuel. Airlines are constantly balancing safety and cost, so flights often carry just enough fuel to reach the destination plus a small reserve. Extra fuel means extra weight, and extra weight means extra cost. That's why when there are sudden delays or reroutes, pilots have to request emergency refueling stops. Now let's look at air quality on board. You've probably heard people complain about getting sick after a flight, and they're not wrong. Cabin air is recycled, filtered, and mixed with outside air, but not perfectly. Germs circulate, and humidity levels are so low that viruses survive longer. That's why staying hydrated and using sanitizer isn't just overkill, it's smart flying. Then there's the illusion of food. Meals are designed to taste stronger than they actually are because at high altitude, your taste buds dull. Salt and sugar taste weaker, so meals are loaded with additives to trick your senses. The same goes for wine. It tastes different at 35,000 feet because of the pressure and dryness. Ever noticed how gate agents seem to know who you are before you even walk up? That's because their system highlights your flight history, your check-in time, even your tone if you've complained before. You're scored silently, every time. Being polite, well-dressed, and calm can literally improve your odds of upgrades. Airlines don't say it, but behavior matters more than loyalty points. If you've ever wondered why some passengers board before others, even in the same group, it's because boarding is partially randomized. It's designed to distribute luggage evenly and avoid bottlenecks, not to be fair. They'll sometimes even move passengers around last minute to balance aircraft weight, without telling you. And here's something few people realize: crew members often get paid only when the cabin door closes. That means all the time you see them boarding, smiling, and helping passengers find seats, they're not being paid. The clock starts only when the wheels roll back. That's why delays frustrate them too, maybe even more than you. But there's one more layer to all of this: the unspoken alliance between airlines and airports. Airports make money from every delay because passengers spend more time shopping and eating in terminals. Airlines complain publicly, but behind closed doors, those delays aren't always bad for business. When you're sitting in that cramped seat, remember this: the airline's goal isn't your comfort, it's efficiency. They measure time in cost per second, fuel per mile, and space per passenger. Your legroom, your recline, even your armrest width, all of it is calculated for maximum profit with just enough comfort to keep you quiet. Yet despite all this, air travel is still the safest form of transportation. The industry runs on routine, precision, and an endless series of backup systems. But now that you know what really goes on, you can travel smarter. You can spot the signs of a well-run flight and the red flags of a poorly managed one. So next time you board, pay attention. Notice how the crew watches passengers entering. See how the lights dim and the cabin cools. When you hear a vague announcement, ask yourself, is this really about safety or about keeping us calm? And when you sip that bottled water instead of airplane coffee, you'll know you're one step ahead. Because flying isn't just about getting from one place to another. It's about understanding the hidden world that makes it possible. Airlines may not tell you everything, but now you know enough to never look at flying the same way again.